Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. Galactic Empire panics, that can't be a human warship. The massive control room of the Concordat flagship Imperial Dawn buzzed with activity. Hundreds of officers from various species worked at their stations, their 6 eyes, tentacles, or clawed hands moving across holographic displays. At the center of it all, Admiral Voss stood with his 4 arms crossed behind his back, staring at the main view screen. "Sir, we're picking up an unknown vessel entering Sector 7, reported Officer Dax, his green skin glowing slightly in the dim light. Admiral Voss waved one of his hands dismissively. "Probably just another trading ship from the Outer Rim. Follow standard protocol." "But, sir," Dax continued, "this ship doesn't match any known design in our database, and the energy readings are unusual." This caught the Admiral's attention. The Galactic Concordat had ruled over 300 star systems for nearly 1,000 years, there were no unknown ships in their territory. Every vessel from each of the 15 spacefaring species in the galaxy was catalogued and tracked. "Show me," Voss ordered. The main screen shifted to display a sleek, almost simplistic vessel. It bore none of the ornate designs of Concordat ships, nor the organic curves of Rim species craft. Instead, it looked functional, almost crude, with visible thrusters and what appeared to be primitive weapon systems. "What species built this?" Voss asked, genuinely puzzled. Intelligence Officer Kell stepped forward. She was small compared to most officers, with dark blue skin and large eyes that missed nothing. "According to preliminary scans, the life forms aboard appear to be human," she said, checking her data pad. A murmur spread across the control room. Humans were a known but insignificant species, discovered 50 years ago, confined to a single planet, Earth, in a remote system. The Concordat had deemed them too primitive for formal contact, they hadn't even achieved proper space travel beyond their own moon. "Impossible," Voss said. "Humans don't have this technology. They barely have fusion power." "Yet the evidence suggests otherwise," Admiral Kell replied. "And there's more, the ship's power readings are off the charts despite its simple appearance, and our scanners can't penetrate its hull to get a clear reading of what's inside." Admiral Voss frowned. Concordat scanning technology was the most advanced in the galaxy, nothing could block it. He studied the vessel again, noting its clean lines and the absence of the usual energy signatures associated with faster-than-light travel. "Hail them," he ordered. Moments later, the screen changed to show the interior of the human vessel's bridge. It was surprisingly spacious but utilitarian. There, sitting in what appeared to be the captain's chair, was a human male with short gray hair and a weathered face. "This is Captain James Reynolds of the Earth ship Defiance," the human said in a calm voice. "We come in peace and request permission to establish diplomatic relations with the Galactic Concordat." Admiral Voss studied the human with growing unease. How did they know about the Concordat? How had they built a ship capable of interstellar travel? And why did they appear so confident? "This is Admiral Voss of the Concordat flagship Imperial Dawn. You have entered restricted space without authorization. Explain your presence here immediately." Captain Reynolds smiled, a smile not of submission but of amusement. "We've been watching your civilization for some time, Admiral. We believe it's time for our species to formally meet." Voss felt a chill run down his spine. "Watching us? Impossible. Your species has been under observation since discovery. You have no technology capable of—" "With respect," Admiral Reynolds interrupted, "you may have been observing a small colony we established as a decoy. Earth and human space are quite different from what you believe." The control room fell silent. Officer Kell quickly tapped on her pad and whispered to the Admiral, "Sir, our records show no evidence of advanced human technology or space travel capability." Voss cleared his throat. "Captain Reynolds, if what you say is true, why reveal yourselves now?" "Expansion," the Admiral said evenly. "Humanity is growing. We need more room, more resources. We'd prefer to do this peacefully, as neighbors rather than strangers. Ambassador Thorne, summoned to the bridge during the exchange, stepped forward. He was a tall, thin being with translucent skin that revealed his 3 hearts beating in sync. He was the Concordat's most experienced diplomat. Captain Reynolds, I am Ambassador Thorne. Perhaps we should arrange a formal meeting to discuss these matters. Reynolds nodded. Agreed. We'll send a diplomatic team to your vessel in 6 hours. The screen went dark before Voss could respond. He growled, how dare they dictate terms to the Concordat? Ambassador Thorne raised a calming hand. Admiral, if these humans have the technology we've just witnessed, then diplomacy is our wisest course. We should prepare accordingly. 6 hours later, a small shuttle departed from the Defiance and approached the Imperial Dawn. Officer Kell monitored its approach with growing concern. Admiral, this shuttle has no visible propulsion system, yet it's moving with incredible precision. The docking bay crew reported similar anomalies. The human shuttle seemed to ignore standard procedures, yet nestled perfectly into the designated space as if guided by unseen hands. When the doors opened, Captain Reynolds emerged with 3 other humans, 2 males and 1 female. They wore simple blue uniforms without rank insignia or decorations. They carried no visible weapons but walked with confidence through the massive docking bay. Seemingly unimpressed by the grandeur of the Concordat flagship. The diplomatic meeting was set in the Concordat's grand conference room. Ambassador Thorne led the discussion, with Admiral Voss and Officer Kell in attendance. We welcome you to Concordat space, Thorne began formally. Though we must express our surprise at your sudden appearance and apparent technological advancement. Reynolds nodded. We understand humanity has a history of being underestimated. It served us well over the centuries. And what exactly are your intentions in Concordat space? Voss asked directly. As I said before, Reynolds replied, we're expanding. We've already established colonies in 12 systems along your outer territories. We're here to formalize our presence and establish trade relations. Voss nearly stood in shock. 12 systems. That's impossible, our patrols would have detected. Your patrols saw exactly what we wanted them to see, the female human said calmly. We've been monitoring your technology for decades, avoiding detection was simple. The meeting continued for hours, with the humans revealing just enough information to confirm their claims without exposing their technical secrets. They spoke of mining operations, terraforming projects, and transport networks that had been operating under the Concordat's nose for years. As the humans prepared to leave, Reynolds turned to Admiral Voss with a small smile. We look forward to peaceful relations. Admiral, Thorne whispered to Voss after the humans departed, humanity has no interest in conflict. They simply wish to take their place among the stars. The Concordat leadership remained in stunned silence. Could they be bluffing? Voss finally asked. Officer Kell shook her head. Their ship's capabilities are real. And if they've truly been hiding from us all this time, then everything we thought we knew about the balance of power in the galaxy has changed. 2 weeks after the Defiance's departure, the Concordat High Council chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives from all 15 member species argued loudly, their voices echoing off the grand marble walls. 12 colonies, impossible, shouted Councillor Brack, his thick tail slamming against the floor. The humans are primitive apes who barely left their planet. Admiral Voss stood silently as the debate raged. His forearms were clasped behind his back, a pose that hid his growing concern. Order, called High Chancellor Orion, his crystalline form glittering under the chamber lights. Admiral Voss, continue your report. Voss activated the central hologram. A star map appeared, showing the vast territory of the Concordat. 12 red dots blinked on the outer edges. These are the locations where human activity has been confirmed, Voss said. Patrol ships report unusual structures that appeared seemingly overnight. When approached, Human representatives politely informed our captains that these were established settlements and provided documentation claiming these systems were unclaimed. And were they unclaimed? Chancellor Oren asked. Technically, yes, Intelligence Officer Kell replied. These are systems the Concordat surveyed but never formally colonized. The humans found the legal loophole. More shouting erupted. Admiral Voss waited for it to subside before continuing. There's more. We've received reports of human vessels throughout the Rim territories. They appear to be conducting mining operations, establishing trade routes, and making contact with non-Concordat species. This news silenced even the angriest counselors. The Concordat had maintained exclusive contact rights with all newly discovered species for centuries. It was how they preserved their authority. How many ships do they have? Chancellor Orion asked quietly. Unknown, Kell admitted. Our estimates range from dozens to hundreds. Hundreds? Counselor Brack laughed nervously. From a species that 50 years ago couldn't leave their own atmosphere? Absurd. Across the Concordat, stories of human ships spread quickly. At the Riel spaceport, engineer Mira worked tirelessly in her laboratory. Before her lay debris recovered from a human mining vessel that had suffered a minor collision with an asteroid, leaving behind fragments for her team to analyze. Mira's 4 eyes blinked in sequence as she examined the metal under a molecular scanner. Her slender fingers adjusted the controls with practiced precision. This makes no sense, she muttered to herself. Her assistant, Treb, looked up. What is it? This metal alloy, it's unlike anything in our database. Lightweight but stronger than our best battleship armor. And look at this circuitry pattern. She pointed to microscopic lines running through the metal. It's almost like the ship's hull was one giant computer. Could it be stolen technology? Treb suggested. Perhaps they raided some ancient civilization's ruins, Mira said. She shook her head. No. This is new, and the design philosophy is entirely alien to our own. She laughed at her own thought. It's like they started from completely different scientific principles. Meanwhile, on the border world Proxima b, a minor incident was unfolding. A Concordat patrol had intercepted a small human courier vessel. The patrol captain, eager to assert authority, had demanded the human ship submit to inspection. The human captain politely declined. What happened next became the subject of rumors throughout the Concordat. The patrol ship, a standard Enforcer-class cruiser with a crew of 50, attempted to use its tractor beam to capture the human vessel. The beam, powerful enough to hold ships 10 times larger, simply failed to engage. The human ship, named Swift Messenger, then performed a series of maneuvers that defied known laws of physics. It moved in ways that should have turned any organic crew into paste from the G-forces alone. Before the stunned Concordat crew could respond, the human ship fired a single shot, just one, that precisely disabled the patrol ship's engines. The human captain then reopened communications, apologized for the misunderstanding, and offered to call for Concordat assistance before departing. Back in the council chamber, Admiral Voss finished his report with the incident. So they've now attacked our ships, growled Counselor Brack. Technically, they defended themselves against our aggression, Ambassador Thorne corrected, speaking for the first time. And they showed remarkable restraint. They could have destroyed the patrol ship but chose to disable it with minimal damage. Are you defending these humans? Brack demanded. I am trying to understand them, Thorne replied calmly. A species capable of hiding their technology from us for decades, who can build ships that outclass our own, and yet who seek diplomatic relations rather than conquest. They are not what we expected. Chancellor Orion's crystalline form pulsed with light as he considered the situation. What do we know about their home world, this Earth? Kell activated a new hologram showing a blue-green planet. Earth is what we categorize as a death world, high gravity, extreme temperature variations, intense radiation from their star, violent weather patterns, and thousands of naturally occurring toxins and predators. The humans evolved to survive in conditions that would kill most concordat species within hours. Mira joined via hologram from her lab. I've been studying the debris from their ships. Based on the control interfaces, humans can withstand forces that would be lethal to us. Their neural responses must be significantly faster, as well. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. What do they want? Chancellor Orion finally asked. Based on all evidence, Admiral Voss stepped forward. They want recognition, territory, resources, a seat at the galactic table. And if we refuse? Brack asked. Voss's forearms tensed. Then we risk conflict with a species that has repeatedly demonstrated superior technology and has been preparing for this moment for decades. Surely our numbers would prevail, Brack insisted. The Concordat fleet has thousands of warships. Mira's hologram flickered as she shook her head. No, Counselor. A single human vessel could potentially neutralize a Concordat battle group. Their technology isn't just advanced, it's fundamentally different. Chancellor Orion rose from his seat, his crystalline body catching the light. We need more information before making any decisions. Admiral Voss, assemble a task force to investigate these human colonies. Ambassador Thorne, prepare for another diplomatic meeting. Engineer Mira, continue studying their technology. She nodded. Already doing so, Chancellor. As the council dispersed, Admiral Voss approached Ambassador Thorne in the hallway. They've been watching us for decades, Voss said quietly. Learning our weaknesses, our patrol routes, our diplomatic protocols, all while we thought they were still figuring out basic space travel. Which means they've been patient, cautious, Thorne agreed. These are not the actions of conquerors. Perhaps not, Voss conceded, but they are the actions of a species preparing for war. As night fell across Concordat worlds, rumors spread from spaceport to spaceport, tales of human ships that moved like nothing ever seen before, of colonies appearing overnight, and whispers of a power that had grown in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to emerge. Admiral Voss stood on the command deck of the Imperial Dawn, his face grim as he watched the massive fleet assemble before him, 50 warships, the pride of the Concordat 7th Fleet, formed in perfect battle formation. Each ship bristled with energy weapons and was protected by the most advanced shields in the galaxy. All ships report ready, Admiral, said his first officer. Voss nodded. After weeks of debate, the Concordat War Council had finally authorized this show of force. They would travel to Proxima B, the closest human colony, and demonstrate the true might of the Galactic Concordat, not to start a war, the Chancellor had insisted, but to re-establish the proper order of things. Begin jump sequence, Voss ordered. The fleet disappeared into hyperspace, their engines leaving blue trails across the stars. On Proxima B, the human settlement was surprisingly modest, a collection of simple structures spread across rocky terrain, with no obvious defenses or military installations. Scans showed fewer than 5,000 humans on the surface. Send the message, Voss commanded as the fleet took position around the planet. The communication officer transmitted a carefully prepared statement demanding that the humans acknowledge Concordat authority, accept restricted status, and limit their expansion. For long minutes, there was no response. Then a single message came through. We understand your concerns. One representative will be sent to discuss terms. Voss laughed. One representative? Do they not see 50 warships surrounding their colony? That's when the sensors detected a new ship entering the system. It emerged from nowhere, without using any known form of faster-than-light travel. One moment, empty space, the next, a vessel was there. Report. Voss barked. Sir, it's a human warship, the sensor officer replied, his voice shaking. Classification, unknown. Size, approximately 1/3 of our flagship. The view screen showed a dark, angular vessel moving toward them. Unlike the sleek Defiance they had encountered before, this ship was clearly built for combat. It was matte black, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. No visible weapons could be seen, but its shape suggested deadly purpose. They sent one ship against 50, Voss said incredulously. This is either madness or an insult. A communication request came through. Voss nodded, and the screen filled with the image of a stern-faced human woman with short white hair. This is Captain Walker of the Earth warship Thunderchild, she said calmly. I understand you wish to negotiate. Voss drew himself up to his full height. This is not a negotiation. The Concordat demands your immediate compliance with our terms. Captain Walker's expression didn't change. Admiral, I've been authorized to inform you that humanity cannot accept those terms. We suggest you reconsider your position. You are one ship against 50. Look around you, Voss exclaimed. Numbers aren't everything. Perhaps not, Admiral Walker replied. We prefer to resolve this peacefully, but we will defend our colony if necessary. Voss cut the communication. Target their ship. Full weapons barrage on my mark. In the science lab of the Imperial Dawn, Engineer Mira watched the confrontation with growing alarm. She had been brought aboard to analyze human technology during the mission, now she studied readings from the Thunderchild with disbelief. This can't be right, she muttered. This ship is fire. Admiral, she called over the comm, I strongly advise caution. This ship is. Voss ordered her cut off. 50 Concordat warships unleashed their full firepower on the lone human vessel, energy beams, plasma torpedoes, and graviton missiles streaked across space in a beautiful and terrifying display of destructive force. Not a single shot hit. The Thunderchild moved with impossible speed, shifting position faster than the weapons could track. It wasn't just evading, it seemed to predict where each shot would go before it was fired. Impossible, Voss whispered. Then the human ship attacked. It didn't use energy weapons or exotic technology, instead, it launched simple projectiles, physical chunks of metal accelerated to near-light speed, at the Concordat fleet. The first volley struck 3 ships before their shields could register the attack. The vessels disappeared in brilliant explosions. Kinetic weapons, gasped the first officer. They're using primitive kinetic weapons. Mira's voice came over the comm again, more urgent now. Admiral, they're using our shield technology against us. Our shields are calibrated for energy weapons, not physical objects at relativistic speeds. The Thunderchild continued its attack methodically, targeting ship after ship. Some vessels were disabled with surgical precision, engines destroyed, weapon systems shattered. Others were simply obliterated. And still, not a single Concordat shot had found its mark. Evasive maneuvers. Voss ordered. But it was too late. In less than 10 minutes, half of the 7th Fleet was destroyed or disabled. The remaining ships broke formation, panic spreading through their crews. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the attack stopped. The Thunderchild hovered motionless among the debris of destroyed ships. Captain Walker's face appeared on the viewscreen again. Admiral Voss, this demonstration is complete. We have disabled 25 of your vessels and could easily destroy the rest. Instead, we will withdraw and give you time to reconsider your position. Humanity does not want war, but we will not surrender our independence. The screen went dark, and the human warship vanished, no engine flare, no jump to hyperspace. It was there one moment and gone the next. Admiral Voss stared at the wreckage of his once proud fleet, his 4 arms hanging limply at his sides. How, he whispered. How is this possible? Engineer Mira appeared on the bridge, her face ashen. Admiral, I've analyzed their attack pattern. They weren't firing randomly, each shot was precisely calculated to cause exactly as much damage as they wanted, no more, no less. They were toying with us. Voss realized the truth. No. They were sending a message, Mira corrected. They could have destroyed us all, but they chose not to. Back in the Concordat capital, news of the disaster spread quickly. Emergency sessions of the High Council were called as reports came in from the surviving ships. Chancellor Orion's crystalline form pulsed with dim light as he addressed the stunned councillors. "It appears we have greatly underestimated the humans," he said. Ambassador Thorne stepped forward. "Chancellor, I've received a message from the human government. They say they are still open to diplomatic relations and have submitted a revised proposal for mutual recognition." "Recognition?" Councillor Brack sputtered. "They've destroyed half our fleet after we threatened their colony." Thorne pointed out, and they could have destroyed all 50 ships, but they chose restraint. As the debate raged in the council chamber, ordinary citizens throughout the Concordat heard rumors of the battle. The impossible defeat of 50 ships by a single human vessel became the subject of fearful whispers and wild speculation. In his private quarters, Admiral Voss reviewed the battle footage again and again, searching for some explanation, some weakness he could exploit. But deep in his heart, he knew the truth: the Concordat had awakened something far more dangerous than they'd ever imagined. The balance of power had not just shifted, it had shattered completely. 2 days later, a small human shuttle arrived at the Concordat capital. Unlike the previous diplomatic meeting aboard a warship, this one was held in the Grand Central Hall of the Concordat government. The message was clear: the humans were being treated as equals, not subjects. The human diplomat, a tall man named Jackson, walked confidently into the hall, unbothered by the different gravity or atmosphere. He carried a simple data pad and wore what appeared to be a standard business suit rather than formal diplomatic attire. "Thank you for agreeing to meet," Jackson began, skipping the usual ceremonial greetings. "I'll be direct: humanity wants peace with the Concordat, but we will not compromise our independence or our right to expand into unclaimed systems." Chancellor Orion leaned forward. "Your demonstration at Proxima B was most effective, Mr. Jackson. But it raises many questions about your species and your intentions." Jackson nodded. "I understand. You're wondering why a species with our technology pretended to be primitive for so long. The answer is simple: we were watching and learning. Our history taught us caution when meeting new civilizations. You feared us." "Not feared," Admiral Voss corrected him, bitterness in his voice. "Respected," Jackson replied. "The Concordat has ruled this sector for 1,000 years. We needed to understand if you would be friends or enemies." "And what did you conclude?" Voss asked. "We haven't decided yet. That's why I'm here." Jackson activated his datapad, and a holographic map of the galaxy appeared. Various regions were highlighted: blue for human-claimed systems, green for areas proposed for shared development, and yellow for exclusively Concordat territory. The blue regions encompassed over 40 star systems, far more than the 12 they'd admitted to previously. "This is outrageous," Brack exclaimed. "You claim territories the Concordat has surveyed but not settled." "Under galactic common law," Jackson pointed out, law the Concordat itself established 300 years ago, unclaimed systems are open to settlement by any spacefaring species. "You've been studying our laws as well," Chancellor Orion observed. "Of course," Jackson replied simply. "We've been studying everything about you." As negotiations continued, intelligence from Agent Locks kept flowing to Kel and Mira. The two officers worked tirelessly to piece together a complete picture of humanity. "They've been deliberately hiding their true technological capabilities," Mira said, examining the latest data. "Even their colony on Proxima B is a facade. Underneath the simple structures are advanced facilities and technologies far beyond what they've shown publicly." "Psychological warfare," Kel nodded. "They want us to wonder what else they're hiding." "The question is," Mira said slowly, "just how advanced are they, and what do they truly want?" Back in the council chamber, the negotiations had reached an impasse. Jackson's terms would fundamentally alter the balance of power, elevating humanity to equal status with the 1,000-year-old Concordat. As the session ended for the day, Admiral Voss approached Jackson privately. "Your proposal will be rejected," Voss said bluntly. "The council will never agree to such terms. That would be unfortunate, Jackson replied calmly. Is that a threat? Voss asked, his forehands tensing. No, Admiral, Jackson said. An observation, humanity doesn't want conflict, but we've prepared for it. Have you? As Jackson walked away, Voss made a decision. The humans had to be stopped before they grew any stronger. If diplomacy wouldn't work, perhaps a decisive military strike would, against Earth itself, the heart of human power. What Voss didn't know was that humanity was already preparing for that exact scenario. The game of shadows and steel had only just begun. The largest fleet ever assembled in Concordat history moved silently through hyperspace. 200 warships, including every available capital ship and battlecruiser, formed the spearhead of what Admiral Voss had named Operation Final.